Welcome back for a new special edition of Video Game Pickups. Now, just a heads up, this time is just a special New Year's edition. Normal January pickups will be coming in, uploaded about a week from now. So stay tuned for that. This is all going to be strictly PS1 platformers, or rather 3D platformer edition. First up, of one of 7 games in this pickups, is called The Bombing Islands. This is a very obscure PS1 platformer type game, though it has elements of picking up relocating bombs because it's done through more of a puzzle type way. This was a game I came across very cheap on eBay. I decided, why not? As you see here, it shows player, but it doesn't show memory card because this game does not use memory card functionality. So what it does do is instead, like many other old school platformers, you put in a password in order to go back to where you were last time you played. It's pretty much like the old Mega Man games is the best way to describe it. But this is definitely a very unique PS1 game. I actually really like going after obscure, like, platformers and stuff like that. I find it interesting. That's the first of the pickups. Second is not quite so obscure, or should I say it's not from an obscure series. That being Rayman, though. This is a somewhat not as well-known game of the Rayman series, Rayman Brain Games, which basically was designed as an educational game for, like, little kids and stuff, which Mario did that years ago also on the PC. I remember, because I had that when I was a little kid. But definitely interesting. As you see here, it says helps children ages 6 to 9. So yeah, that gives you an idea. Basically kindergarten to like up to maybe 3rd grade, I guess you could say. Just depends on the kid though. Still a very interesting and unique looking game. And I always find interesting getting a hold of stuff like this that's unique and different. Next, a true all-time classic, Croc. Croc Legend of the Gobbos. Yes, I know, unfortunately, this is a Platinum Hits version, or should I say Greatest Hits version. Same difference, but nevertheless, this is a game I remember playing when I was a kid. It was quite enjoyable. Fun, though I do recall liking Croc 2 more, though Croc 2 is going for definitely a little bit more than what Croc 1 was going for. Most of these games I actually found really cheap. Every single game in this pickups, I didn't pay more than like, I think at max maybe only one of them I paid over $10, but most of these games I only paid about $5 to like $8 each on. So, pretty cheap overall. But yeah, if you ever get a chance to play the original Croc game, take advantage and check it out. It's a really fun game in my opinion. There's definitely a lot of unique things you can do with it. It's definitely a little different than some of your standard 3D platformers of this time frame. Plus, as you see there, Fox was involved in the creation of this back when Fox had their own gaming division. That was years ago. Next up, we have another special little game, all-time classic, the original Rayman. Yeah, recently I started getting interested in trying to get into collecting the Rayman series. Since I have played some of the more modern ones with like Rayman Legends, Rayman Origins, I decided I wanted to go back, get it, and actually try out a lot of the classics. Something people seem to forget, Ubisoft actually made the Rayman series. But definitely, it's an all-time classic, and I love the art style in this game. Plus, as you see advertises there, 65,000 colors. Independently scrolling backgrounds. 70 surreal or whatever levels. 70 levels. That's pretty impressive for an old school game. Especially PS1 era, I should say. Still, great classic. The start of what is one of probably the more beloved platformer franchises of all time. Next up, getting towards the end, this is certainly not an obscure game, and that being the original Gex. Now, I already, of course, have this game on the Panasonic 3DO, which was the original version, but yeah, it got also a re-release on the PS1, and of course, made by, as you see there, Crystal Dynamics, which is an all-time classic. And the design looks exactly the same, and there you see advertisement for the other Gex games. Well, specifically Gex Enter the Gecko. Back in the 90s, good old cheesy play on words. But definitely Gex is a classic platformer series from the 90s, which sadly, unfortunately, never got out of the 90s, which kind of sucks. Ended up only having 3 games in the series, which is too bad because Gex had real potential in my opinion, and I would love to see Gex get a second chance at life and get revived. Along with Croc, those are 2 3D game franchises of platformers that I would love to see get a revival. Second to last, this was the most expensive out of the bunch. And this is another somewhat obscure game, Glover, which is a very unique game, and of course, as you see there, a face, eyes and stuff, in the volcano, just like, yeah, as you see there, you actually place the glove. Basically, it was a magician, or rather wizard, glove, and you also have to sometimes in the game, and yeah, you can even outright just walk around as the glove. Also, sometimes you'll have to use a ball to bounce in order to get to higher places. Definitely, it is one of the most unique 3D platformers of the time period. And of course, there you see advertisements for, yeah, there was a 3D remake of Pong for the PS1. Of course, the classic Cubert, the next Tetris, all from at that time Atari. But definitely a unique game. I recommend checking out, though. I've heard that the N64 version is better than the PS1, but I choose PS1 because it was cheaper. And because I love the PS1. But with that said, last but not least is a special game from when I was a kid. And that is A Bug's Life, which, in my opinion, was one of the best video games based on a movie that I can think of. At that time, of course, involved Disney Interactive, back when it existed. Easily, in my opinion, the most underrated Pixar movie of all time. But that's just my opinion. And I love the music and everything. There we see advertisement, of course, for the Tarzan game. Yeah, strangely enough, a lot of Disney games that were adapted for movie most of the time are always platformers. But I actually remember genuinely really enjoying this game when I was younger. Definitely a fun, unique game. I look forward sometime in the future to get down and replay this game again and see if it's just nostalgia factor or if it really is as good as I remember. Sometimes I've been surprised it has, sometimes it hasn't. But with that said, I hope everyone has a good 2021, good New Year, and Happy New Year's. Hope you enjoyed the music in the background from the Pleasure Quarter in Gravity Rush. See you next time. Same YouTube time, same YouTube channel.